Welcome to Skill Cap's Guide, where we'll be giving you the very best tips we have for instantly improving as ADC. Everything featured in this guide will be immediately applicable to your gameplay and will guarantee you have 7 new skills that most people have no clue about and will consistently win you games. So let's go ahead and get right into it. As an ADC, one of the biggest advantages you have over many champions is your attack range. So it's a huge issue that many players are actually playing with a lower attack range than their champion has without even realizing it. Here's the issue and how to fix it. This Caitlyn is at her max auto attack range of 650 versus a Kai'Sa who has a range of 525. Watch what happens. Caitlyn auto-attacks her, and Kai'Sa kites away, but when she turns, she's somehow in range of Caitlyn and can auto-attack back. This is a very common issue, especially during the early levels when your attack speed is slow. The problem is that after you auto-attack, if your opponent moves out of range, then you will keep chasing your target until your auto-attack is up and off cooldown. This problem is often the reason you're getting hit back way too much when you play marksman with high attack range. So, how do you fix it? It's quite easy. All you need to do is to input a movement command after every auto attack instead of just right-clicking on your opponent. This way you never automatically walk too close, and you can instead properly manage your auto attack range to stay at the max distance from your opponent. This will make spacing them when you have the range advantage much easier and allow you to get in free damage without taking any in return. Many players know about the awesome benefits that come when you don't have to leash versus when your opponent does. You're able to get in lane, push a lead, and secure a level advantage. But there's a new punish that's even better than anything else you can do. Ever notice how all of the initial first 3 melee creeps die at the same time when no one touches them? Riot purposely made the first wave behave this way so that no one gets screwed over by RNG minion aggro when they have to leash. However, you can exploit this to your advantage. Whenever the first wave fully crashes and your opponent isn't in lane, walk up and auto-attack a range minion like so. This causes the wave to begin hitting you, but the trick is to then reset their aggro by going into the brush or walking out of range. What ends up happening is that the enemy minions stop behaving like they normally would on the first wave, and instead they begin focusing down one of your own melee minions. This lines up perfectly to deny most opponents who are walking to lane after leashing. The minion will die around 5 seconds earlier than usual, which will often cause your opponents to miss experience. It may not seem like a lot, but a single melee minion worth of experience can be massive and give you a ton of lane pressure since you're going to have a guaranteed level lead by abusing this. This strategy is becoming more and more popular as a punish to leashing, so here's how to counter it if you're on the receiving end of a jungler's puppy dog eyes. Typically, the fastest someone can make a minion die from this tactic is at around 1 minute and 47 seconds into the lane. So all you need to do is make sure that you don't leash for too long and to get to lane before that time. That way you can still leash for your jungler, but you don't fall behind this strategy. There's nothing more wonderful than getting a bunch of turret plate gold all to yourself, but as an ADC, you often have to share the spoils with your support. Well, at least they help you take the tower faster, so it's not all too bad, right? Wrong! Many players don't know this, but towers actually get tankier when plates go down based on how many players are in the area. For example, these training dummies count as allied champions. When there's 3 around, notice that when Misfortune takes a turret plate, the tower gains a ton of armor, up to 190. After she takes 2 plates, the tower goes up to 230 armor. Let's take away 2 dummies now. When MF takes 1 plate, the tower only goes up to 100 armor, and after 2 plates, the tower only goes up to 140. That is a massive difference in how fast you can take a tower. The annoying thing is that supports don't actually help you push that much faster. Most of them do very little damage with their auto attacks, so supports can often make it harder to take a tower while at the same time taking some of your gold in the process. So here's the tip. There will often be times where you may be tempted to help a fight at Dragon or Rift Herald like in this example, but take a look at this situation. Caitlyn is completely alone in bottom as everyone is at the objective fight. This means that Caitlyn doesn't have to share the turret plate gold available, and her support won't be here to make the tower tankier either. Knowing just how fast she could take the tower on her own, this was a really easy decision to make to not rotate to the fight, and instead just stay down here to get rich off the tower. So just keep the tower mechanic in mind. It can often be a very good call to ignore your teammates if there's a tower with a lot of plates still up. You'll be able to take it really quickly on your own, and you getting all that gold for yourself can be a huge spike in power. For our next tip, we guarantee that 99% of ADC mains are not abusing the most overpowered tip when it comes to crushing team fights: pushing waves. No, not split pushing, we mean actually pushing waves during a fight. Let's show you what we mean. Sivir and her team got Baron, and now she's looking to push mid. Of course, she's heavily split off from her team, which puts her in a really dangerous position. But instead of continuing to run away this way to safety, Sivir knows she can instantly win the teamfight if she takes a risk and runs through mid with her wave. This may not seem like a team fighting tip, but you just have to put yourself in the enemy team's shoes for a moment to understand why they're about to instantly lose. Right now, they're all between Sivir and the rest of her team. She's putting pressure on the tower, which they have to respond to, but they also can't ignore the enemy team behind them that could pick people off if they're not careful. Multiple pressure points on an enemy team in solo queue is going to make them mess up. The only way out of a situation like this is if everyone on the enemy team knows what to do and all react appropriately. This will never happen in a game without voice comms. Take a look at how this one play made the enemy team look like a bunch of headless chickens. Some of them are trying to disengage into the jungle, some of them are trying to turn onto Sivir's team, and some are trying to punish her. It's a complete disaster. They're scattering all over the place, and the teamfight becomes a massacre because they were completely uncoordinated from this bit of pressure. Instead of always approaching every teamfight the same way of front to back and hoping that works out, you should always look around you to see if you can put a ton of pressure by pushing a minion wave. You'll be surprised at how much more you'll win fights this way. There's one rune that almost every single ADC has run in their rune pages for a ton of seasons now, Legend Bloodline in the Precision Tree. Despite countless nerfs, it continues to be taken, and it's not hard to see why. You often can't afford to build lifesteal in your items early on as an ADC, so this is usually your only form of sustain. Plus, at max stacks, it even gives you an extra 100 HP, which is especially useful on such a squishy class of characters. The downside though is how long this rune takes to ramp up. To finish it, you need 15 full stacks. You get some from minions, but look how little you get from a full wave. Tristana only got 24% of a single stack from killing this entire wave. To fully stack the rune, it'd take around 60 more minion waves. If you don't know though, this rune can be completed in a couple other ways. You get one full stack per champion kill and assist, or one for every objective kill you're a part of. At skill capped, a common piece of advice we constantly give is to stop overhelping your team on objectives like towers or dragons, especially if they're fine on their own. For example, if you've wiped the enemy team, your Shyvana doesn't need your help on dragon. Let her solo it while you do something else. There is one exception though, which is when your bloodline isn't fully stacked. If you see your teammate take an objective, make sure to give a quick helping hand to make sure you get an assist on it. Then let your teammate finish it off while you go and do something else. This way you still get a bloodline stack without having to waste your precious time, which could be spent farming or pushing lanes. Finishing bloodline faster is a huge boost in defensive power, so make sure you do this whenever possible. One of the best ways to instantly make your support look much better is by learning to enable what they want to do. To keep things simple, there's two types of support champions most of the time in bot, and here's how you play around each one. For starters, there's engaged supports. Let's go back to this Ezreal game from before, where he and Pyke got the lead because their opponents were pushing. The problem with the minions being crashed around here when you have an engaged support is that they can't do the one thing you want them to do, engage. Pyke has no way to land a hook or to go in under tower. Problem is, your support wants to help. They want to win too. This compels Pyke to throw himself into the enemy tower, desperate for an engage because it's the one thing his champion does. Needless to say, that didn't turn out very well and looked quite ugly, right? This Pyke didn't look very good, and it'd be easy to flame him for how awful he played this game. He went 0-4 in the laning phase, and many ADC mains would instantly just flame him for how he played. It's not always possible, but you can make your teammates better by enabling them and making it easier for them to do their jobs. With an engaged support, what you generally want to do is keep the wave around the center of the lane with either a freeze or a slow push. This way your support can engage and actually find kill opportunities with plenty of space to chase down opponents outside of their tower. To show you the difference, here's the exact same Ezreal paired with the exact same support in a completely different game. They got an early gank, chunking the enemy Nilah low, giving them a ton of pressure in lane. But look at the difference of where Ezreal keeps the wave this time. It's way more towards the center, and he's pushing it as slowly as possible. Notice just how much more pressure his Pyke has compared to before. This same support player looked like a complete troll last time, but notice how competent he seems now. He has so much pressure hiding in this brush, and eventually even finds a flash hook onto the enemy Nilah, killing her instantly. Yes, you may have bad supports in your games sometimes, but you should always ask yourself whether you made the lane easy or hard for them, and if that's the reason things went wrong. The other type of support you'll have is usually a ranged champion. If you ever feel like your ranged support is completely useless, then all you need to learn is one simple thing. Ranged supports are at their best when you're the one with a minion lead. This is for two reasons. One, they generally have a skill shot they want to land. If you're at a minion deficit, this makes it hard to accomplish for them. On the other hand, when you have the minion advantage, it gives your opponents very little to hide behind, making it much easier for your support to succeed. And the second reason why you want a minion advantage is because ranged supports are all about harassing, but are susceptible to all-ins. Having more minions than your opponent makes it very difficult for them to commit to an all-in, making it super easy for a ranged support to play. Take a quick look at this lane. It's about even right now with both ADCs having a ranged support, but look at the difference between how Varus and Jhin play this next moment. Varus clearly understands the importance of a minion lead in this lane and heavily begins hitting the wave. Meanwhile, Jhin isn't doing much. Notice what happens. Immediately, Varus' Heimer has a ton of pressure in lane since he can walk up and trade aggressively with the minion advantage, and with no minions blocking his spells, he can easily land his skill shot. This is the key to always having the better support. All your partners will instantly look better when you play to enable them. And the last thing we'll cover is one more team fighting tip, and it's something that many ADCs fail at. Stop feeling like you have to do max DPS in every encounter. Many ADCs die and lose so many fights and skirmishes because they think they need to auto attack every single second of it. Take this Caitlyn for example. Her team has an amazing start to a fight, picking off the enemy Draven, but she's so desperate to continue dealing damage that she completely ignores the enemy Wukong right in front of her and eventually dies for it. In team fights, you don't need to auto attack all the time. It is often okay to do nothing and wait for your opponents to use their threatening spells and then go in after. So in this case, just for Wukong to use his ultimate and start auto attacking once it's down. That might sound horrible to some of you. How can you possibly not auto-attack in a fight? Won't your teammate be playing 4v5 if you don't? Well, not exactly. While waiting for your opponents to use threatening spells, remember that they haven't actually used them. They're also not contributing to the fight, just like you aren't. They're waiting for you to miss position and not doing as much as they should be. So what happens most of the time is that they'll eventually just use their spells on your teammate if they can't target you. This will usually mean that you'll be right in range to begin auto-attacking them as soon as they do. Here's a very good example of what this looks like. This Caitlyn is versus a ton of deadly champions. Gangplank, Vi, Rakan, and Rumble all have threatening ultimates that could instantly kill her. Look at her immediate reaction when she sees Vi, to run away. She's not trying to deal damage yet. That's not all she has to wait out though. Rakan and Rumble are in the area with their ult. If they combo them their spells, she's still in danger. So notice her positioning. She's still not autoing. Finally, she noticed that everyone but Rumble has used their ult. Without any CC, it's really easy to outplay, so she can finally move forward and deal damage. And just like that, the fight is won easily. Low elo ADCs tunnel way too much on constantly dealing damage, but that's actually what holds them back. Good ADCs always wait for most threats to be used, and then look to fully commit to fights. And if you want to fast track your improvement, then head on over to our website, skillcap.com. Take our brand new Master in Minutes course on CSing. Each video in the course teaches you one concept in less time than it takes to start a game of League of Legends. So while you wait for your next game, you can learn breakpoint patterns, last hitting under tower, optimal settings, the list goes on, all in just a few minutes to maximize your improvement rate. Once you're last hitting like a pro, hop into our Master in Minutes course on wave control, trading, or warding. The list keeps growing as we add new courses each week. These courses have been getting 5-star ratings from all of our users, raving at how helpful they are. Seems too good to be true? Well, don't worry, we're backed by a rank up guarantee. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCap, then you get your money back, no questions asked. We're the only service that can offer this because you'll actually see results. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below and get the rank you've always wanted. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.